Good Monday morning. Tim Sykes here, feeling a little better, still a little sick, still traveling too much. I actually have to get back to the US now, so I'm going to make this video quick, but there are still some lessons going on right now with trading. Today is Cyber Monday, so we have all these sales 40, 50, 60, 70% off. Newsletters and DVDs, take advantage of it. If you actually go to stockstotrade.com, we also have a Cyber Monday sale for the next roughly 17 hours. 50% off your first month or 35% off your annual. Please take advantage of it, okay? This software is crucial to finding the best stocks and making your life easier for your research. All right, already talked about that. I'm a little out of it. Got a long travel day ahead of me, but I want to talk about the trade that I just did on AMMJ. You have to live and die by patterns. They're not always going to work. So don't think like if you learn a pattern, it's going to work 100% of the time. The good news is if you think of yourself as a scientist and you say, wait a minute, let me focus on patterns. Let me see what's going to work. Sorry, there's live alerts going on right now too. If you think of yourself as a scientist and you test out different strategies, you test out different patterns, and you say, let me see what I think is going to work. And if you have that mindset, then you're in a good spot. AMMJ on Wednesday morning. Well, first of all, this was Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, today. So we had a few different days in here in this chart. This is a hot weed stock, first of all. You have to know that the sector that you're playing. So weed stocks had a big run up and then a big run down, and now it's trying to bounce. Bounces usually fail. This is a classic number 6 from my penny stocking framework DVD. In case you haven't seen that, you go to the sale right now. On the bottom right here is penny stocking framework, 50% off, okay? So if you use your knowledge and you study, you know that this is a number 6 pattern and it will most likely fail. The good news is a number 6 pattern also can bounce for a few days. Today is the third green day, so the bounce is probably going to be the weakest. This is a pattern from my penny stocking part 2 DVD. Knowing that the third green day is usually the toughest. That's why I warned against going long HTBX near the market open. A lot of people in my chat room were thinking, oh, all it has to do is break 305 here, that it couldn't break pre-market, and then it could run more. And I said, no, HTBX is a potential short, not a potential long, because it's the third green day. It's already tried to spike. Look at this. 1 big green day, 2 big green days. This is the third. This is what usually happens on the third big green day. It goes red. So you have to have that knowledge ahead of time. And if you don't, you get wrecked. Okay? Some of you guys were not in my chat room at the market open. I saw some people on Twitter saying, oh, this stock is going to surge. Let me buy it. You weren't following the patterns. You haven't studied. You weren't prepared. And guess what? You got wrecked. That's what happens when you don't study. Okay? I can't force you to study. You can either learn from me or you can learn from the market. And trust me, the market is much more expensive and much less forgiving. I want you to succeed. So HTBX, I actually couldn't find shares to short. I was looking. A few people said that E-Trade did have shares to short. I don't know. I tried E-Trade. They said I couldn't short it. I don't know. It's not a perfect science. I tried. I failed. Some of you guys got shorts here in the 290s and now it's in the 260s. So that's a nice little 10% winner. AMMJ was my play today, and it was because, let me go back to this chart. So Tuesday, morning panic, no bounce. Wednesday, morning panic, big bounce. This was a 60, 70% bounce in like an hour. Friday, morning panic and bounce. Not a 60, 70% bounce, but a nice nearly 40% bounce. So the pattern, excuse me, is real, okay? It loses a little bit here right at the market open from like 58 cents down to 47 cents. So, this is like a 15% drop. It doesn't look that bad on the chart because of how much it spiked, but this is a serious morning panic. What does it do? Spikes big. This was a nasty morning panic. I was actually long overnight. I played it a little wrong. The best play on this one, as it turns out, is to dip behind the morning panic. And I was long overnight. I took profits. before this morning panic. But this was scary. I was watching this from 86 cents down to 72 cents. Let's see, what percentage is that? 0.86 minus point. Oh, I actually got down to 0.71. Divided by 0.86. So it was a 17% drop in here. And then you had a 40% bounce. And then today, the exact same thing. You have this morning panic down from 98 cents down to 91 cents. Again, it's smaller because you have to think of this as kind of like a bouncing ball pattern where, the bounce is going to be less and the panic's probably going to be less. It's just going to be less volatile on day 3. And anyways, you got the morning panic, and there was a clear dip buying opportunity. There was a lot of solidification here at 91 cents. I actually probably should have done a live trade on this one, but my internet wasn't that great. It happens. I'm sorry I'm traveling. I'm sorry I'm sick. Life gets in the way, but I'm excited to get back to normal hours and not trade from Asia because Asia is tough to trade from. But you had the same morning spike pattern. And in my alert, actually, I specifically said, I don't think this is going to spike as much. I still made over $1,000, but I said I dip bought this. Friday it spiked 40%. Wednesday it spiked 60%. It shouldn't be that much today since it's not a holiday trading day. But I'd love to see a 10 to 20% spike. We'll see. Cut losses quickly if wrong. And I got the morning spike. I got a 10% spike. It's still holding up. I would still be up like 7% if I didn't sell. So I didn't have to sell. But again, knowing that it's the third green day, knowing that, I have to travel in a little bit, that influences my decision. And just knowing the patterns and having tested out this strategy again and again and again. So on AMMJ, yeah, this was a nice game. And I was a little more confident this time because I've seen the pattern work out. And you can see actually my trades. My last trade, I just made a little over 500. This was with a smaller position. And this was actually probably a better trade. Percentage-wise, what did I make? 15%? Yeah, 13.82%. But, bigger position because I'm more confident. And that's cool. So I'll take it. Whether I make 500, whether I make 1,400, again, it's all just education for me, and it's education for you. Remember, I'm trading with a small account. I'm donating all of the profits from my trading. It doesn't matter. The money that I make in my trading account, by the way, I should mention, is less than the money it costs me to send out email and text message alerts on the trades. So don't think like I'm doing this for the trading profits. I'm not one of those guys who trades, with these 30, 50, 100,000 share positions and is like, bam, made 20 grand. They're actually using their subscribers to make money. Okay. I trade specifically with a small account in order to teach. And that I think is very beneficial for you because you see what my priorities are. I make the trade in order to show you this pattern. And this pattern will happen again and again. Now, granted, this kind of breakout over the last day is not that much. The highs here were like 97 cents. Here it's having problems at like 99 cents. Technically it is a breakout over the previous day, but it's weak. So you have to understand that these are like, it's kind of like a bouncing ball. And, a bouncing ball bounces a little less each time. So on the third green day, you really have to be more conservative if you're going for the morning spike. And HTBX, which already has the morning spike, you have to think, wait a minute, this is not a potential buy. This is a potential short, which would have been right. So you need to think about this stuff by yourself, on your own. You can't wait for alerts. You have to be a scientist. You have to test. And you have to learn if you want to be successful, okay? You don't have to do anything, that you don't want to. But in my mind, if you want to be successful, which is what I want for you, you need to learn. And I got to give props to a few students real quick. Zachary, look at this. I love this. Zachary, 3-minute trade on HADV, and he watched my weekend videos, and he made, he bought this. He dip bought this. HADV was a nice little trade. And this one, This is scary. I couldn't even get executed on this one. But it closed here in the 130s, and HADV had this same kind of like little morning dip. I mean, it started the day here at like 127, dipped to 115, then another minute 105, dips to 94 cents, and then look at it. 94 cents up to a buck 40. I didn't even trade this, okay? This is the exact same pattern on AMMJ, actually even more volatile because you had a 50% bounce off this first few minute little morning panic. And I'm very proud that my student Zachary, 3-minute hold, made 680 bucks. He dip bought the morning panic and he sold it on the bounce. This is a fantastic trade. And some people ask, Tim, if you know everything, why do you teach? Well, I don't know everything, first of all. I teach because it's fulfilling, but also some of the best plays like AMMJ and this HADV, they're very quick. And you can't do this with like 1 million shares or 50,000 shares, but you can make a few $100s, a few $1,000s. And this is what Zachary is proving. So thank you, Zachary. I'm very impressed with this. This is a better morning dip buy than my AMMJ. I mean, this one bounced all the way from 92 cents up to a buck 45. And notice Zachary did not wait for the 140s. I mean, he had his nice 37, 35% profit, and he took it. And he made 680 bucks in 3 minutes. So while this is not respected by Wall Street, and Wall Street will rip on penny stocks and me and this kind of a strategy, making 680 bucks on a little, $2,000 investment, this is damn good. And if you have a small account, this strategy works. If you don't believe me, if you think this is some kind of scam, don't learn. It's okay. I won't be offended. Okay? I have seen so many scams out there. I've seen so much negativity. I just don't give a shit. I care about creating more millionaire students. I focus on teaching the strategy. And if you're going to put up resistance, I'm actually going to post an email of this guy over the weekend. I go back and forth with them. I show them all the videos and the facts. But if they're still delusional and if they still don't want to study, I'm not going to force you, okay? If I have to repeat every single thing twice, 3 times, 4 times before you even think that it's real, it's not worth my time. And you're going to make a bad student. You're not going to be my next millionaire student if you're putting up a fight from the beginning. So don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. It's okay. Trust me. I'm not offended. I get this question from a lot of you guys like, oh, I have doubts. I'm not sure. It's fine. Don't study. I'm only interested in working with dedicated students. And those who are dedicated, people like Zachary, excuse me. God, I sound like shit. This is what happens when you travel too much, you trade from Asia, you're doing charity work all day, you're trading at night. It's a tough schedule, but I fucking love it. Anyways, congrats to Zachary. Thank you for watching my weekend videos. And I know you say everyone should. I understand it, but you can't force everybody, Zachary. I'm glad that you've realized these patterns. I'm glad that you've profited. And you took the meat of the move. And look at it. I mean, it came all the way back down from 140 down to 102. There was another dip buying opportunity in here, and then it's bouncing. So it's not necessarily just at the open. But I just wouldn't trust these stocks, this late in the pattern. The overall markets are down a little bit. I really like just dip buying the initial morning panic. You saw me do this a few days ago on CGRW. CNAB and CATQ. Each of them were like 30%, type winners. So props to those of you who dip buy the morning panic only on volatile plays and only, really quick. You could be wrong. It's very scary to buy a morning panic, but you see more times than not it works, especially in this market. Also, I got to give props to Antonio. You get a follow because you're studying, and I like you sharing your screenshots. He actually shorted HTBX, and that's pretty sweet. Oh no, my bad. He didn't short it. He held it over the weekend. This was from November 25th. So there's multiple opportunities here. Let me just go over the 3 patterns just in case, because I know this video is kind of scatterbrained just the way that I am right now. So if you think a stock can spike more, Okay, it's either going to spike more overnight, which HTBX, Antonio is holding into day 3. It's a little risky, but I'll give him props. At least if you're holding on the night of day 2 into day 3, be sure to take profits very quickly. And Antonio did that. He bought it at 254, he sold it at 294. He made his $100. And I'm purposely showing you some students with very small positions because it's not just about me and the millionaire students. It's about a lot of you upcoming students. If you look at this, he's putting in what, $770, and he's coming out with $870 overnight, not even wasting a day trade. I should mention that this is a good kind of trade to hold overnight, where even though it's not as good, I think, as a dip buying a morning panic on like an AMMJ or an HADV today, holding overnight, you don't waste a day trade. So those of you with under 25,000, you're limited by the number of day trades that you can do in a week. If you hold overnight, it doesn't count as a day trade. So that's very good for those of you with small accounts. You just have to be sure to lock it in. So this is pattern number 1 that's working right now. If you're looking at a strong stock, and you want to hold it over the weekend or hold it overnight, that's cool. Let me see how HTBX closed, by the way, on Friday. It had that big spike Friday morning. It closed a little strong. It's not a bad trade. Again, you're a scientist. You're testing out different patterns. This pattern worked, and he bought it at 250, sold it in the 290s, locked in his profits. I approve of that trade. I approve of that trade, Antonio. Good job. So you didn't waste a day trade, and you made money. HADV, this would be scary to hold overnight, and this one was probably better as a morning panic dip buy because it dropped, and then you have the 40-50% spike. AMMJ is coming down a little bit now, because remember, this is day 3. So the only play here, you don't want to hold it overnight. And this one was a good morning dip buy on this one. And, overall the markets are going down. By the way, PZRX, I should mention, is the biggest morning spiker. And I totally underestimated it. I looked at the overall long-term chart, and it's terrible. So I didn't think that this was going to keep going, but guess what? It does. So I'm not perfect and all-knowing. When I said, I don't think this is a buy, I was wrong. And the cool thing is a lot of you guys are learning to think on your own. As I'm filming this, little video, I'm getting some live tweets. Look at this. Sniper Trades just made 224 on his latest one. And on the day, he's up $1,100. Let me retweet this. Awesome job. So, Sniper Trades is thinking on his own. Lika, I like this. Look at this. He's in at 184, out at 216. Small profit. Sold too early. That's okay. Good trade. Still made, 30 cents a share. That's solid. Don't feel bad if you sell too soon. Good job, Lika, for thinking on your own. Here was Sniper Trade's first trade. Look at this. Jose, progressing every day. I can trade with a small account. Order went through right before canceling it to sell higher. So he bought it at 178, sold it at 205. Awesome. Making nearly 30 cents a share. So some of you guys are just making it on your own. KB made $100 on MCOA. And here's Zachary. So these are my tweets so far today. I got to get going, but these are the plays that you have to look at if you're going to trade penny stocks. Look for morning spikes. Look for morning dip buys. Look for overnight holds. Look at this. I'm getting a tweet right now as I'm filming this. I love it. Look at this. Roberto made $100 on HADV while in English class. Small profit, however, one of my best trades due to overall research and caution. Ugh, my Wi-Fi is so bad. Awesome. Tell the teacher I'm sorry, but RS needs to get paid. Yeah. I love this. You know, he's trading while he's in English class. Now, I don't recommend that. When I was actually in school, I would take night classes so that I could trade. And even in high school, when you couldn't take night classes, I took night classes in college. But in high school, when I couldn't, go to school at different hours, I would just leave the room and I would, go take a bathroom break. So that's how I would trade while in class. But you can trade while in class. You can trade at work. Look at this, another tweet. The tweets just keep coming. Look at this. Cody, looking beautiful this morning. Thanks, Timothy Sykes. Probably wouldn't have found it if I wasn't studying and learning. Awesome. Keep studying and learning day by day. I love getting this from you guys. I love interacting with you. These are the plays. PZRX, HADV, AMMJ, HTBX. These are the top 4 that I see moving right now. And you have to learn what stocks are moving the fastest, what are the most volatile. And this stuff moves fast. Like if you're not prepared, you won't catch plays like this. I mean, PZRX, this is just phenomenal. Congrats to all of you guys who are long. HADV was a good morning panic dip buy. AMMJ was a good morning panic dip buy. HTBX was a good failed morning spike short. Those are the plays so far today. Now I'm looking at DRYS is coming up a little bit. NVFY I saw was spiking a little bit from the 2s to the 3s. All right, we got more plays. GLBS I'm seeing is up quite a bit. I don't know. I can't keep up with all these plays, but look for these morning spikes. Look how to play them. If a morning spike fails on day 3, like HTBX, consider shorting it. So, anyways, I have to get going. There's more tweets coming in, but please take advantage of this Cyber Sunday sale or Cyber Monday sale on stocks to trade, 50% off your first month or 35% off annual. And also all of these DVDs and video lessons. If you're wondering about, what is a pattern number 6, get the framework DVD. If you're wondering why I'm more cautious on day 3 of a spike, watch my Penny Stocking and Penny Stocking Part 2 DVD. You should all watch my How to Make Millions DVD. This is my most comprehensive. If you want to learn from my top student, Trading Tickers, Tim Grattani, shows I think like 3 or 4 dozen live trades. Quant Trading 101 is better for those of you who are into math and coding and programming. Remember, it's not just about penny stocks. One of my students, Harry, left the penny stock world and now he trades Bitcoin. This is on sale for just $200 too. So all these newsletters too, Superman is made nearly like, I don't even know how many million anymore. But he's a self-made millionaire, and I've known him for over a decade. He picks some big winners. If you don't like day trading and you want longer term plays, guess what? That's what my Small Cap Millionaire newsletter is. This is my long-term newsletter. We've had some big winners. Then we have Tim Alerts and Penny Stocking Silver. If you like videos like this, sure, I have a few videos on YouTube, but there's a 4,000 plus video lesson library if you sign up for Penny Stocking Silver. And Tim Alerts, you just get access to alerts and watch lists and chat room. I got to go take a nap and I got to go travel for a little bit, but I'll still be looking at these trades. Congrats to all of you who are, just taking advantage of the volatility. Again, if you don't like penny stocks, if you don't like me, if you don't like trading, if you have doubts, don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. You have to be dedicated in order to be successful. You can't just say, oh, let me just study, 1 hour forever and then I'll know everything. You have to adjust. You have to adapt. You have to stick with it. This is not easy. Trading is not easy. It's not easy to become a millionaire. But as more and more of my students and I have proven, it is possible with enough hard work and study. If you want me to sound healthy all the time, too fucking bad. Because I'm never taking a day off with my video lessons. I'm never taking a day off with my trading or traveling or charity work. So sometimes, yeah, I am going to feel under the weather. Doesn't mean that I'm not professional. It means that I'm real. And if you don't get that, again, don't learn. Thank you guys. I have to get going, but already a great morning with so many lessons. Thank you.